The unions are calling on business rescue practitioners to reconsider the decision to retrench 6,000 SA Post Office employees. Last week, creditors voted in favor of a business rescue plan which suggested laying off staff over a 5-year period. The Post Office last made profit in 2004 and has since lost 19 billion rand. We now speak to the Communications Minister Mondli Gungubele for more on this. Thank you very much, sir, for your time this afternoon. We understand that the bailout may be on the cards for the South African Post Office. Perhaps should that be the point of departure? Are you able to confirm that for us?
I think, good afternoon and to your viewership. We had a session with the Portfolio Committee today just to engage the Portfolio Committee on the proposed business rescue plan. Business rescue plan would have analyzed what led to the demise of the post office and how best to turn the post office around. And I want to take this opportunity to thank all the participants who played a role to this stage, in particular the creditors. Remember, business rescue plans mainly depends on creditors making compromises that allow the business to proceed. Of course, they would have analyzed what would be the consequences if it was liquidated, what are the consequences if it was not liquidated. And they came to a view that they are better in a rescued SAPO than a liquidated one.
Okay. What should we understand about that? Because some of the business rescue practitioners have made it sound like it's a foregone conclusion that the post office will indeed be liquidated. And you are noting now that there's a plan to turn things around. And so what should we understand about the public utterances that have been made by some of the business rescue practitioners versus what we're hearing now, that the plan is to turn things around and to possibly save jobs?
The plan before us is a basis that is a foundation why SAPO is capable of being rescued. So we're no longer talking about liquidating SAPO. Creditors on the 7th May considered the proposed rescue plan. More than 75% of them agreed that they can live with the plan. So the issue of liquidation, I think we've gone beyond that. The challenge now is to implement all what is proposed by the business rescuers. Amongst others is they would have demonstrated that we are going on a net loss of about 2+ billion, projecting 1 billion, 7 billion next year, and going at a cost of about, operational cost of about 185% to the revenue, and projected to be 200% cost to the revenue going forward, and workers alone costing no less than 150% cost to the operational revenue. So if you listen to all what I've said, if what I've just said continues, all what it means, it says close SAPO. And if you close SAPO, hundreds of SMMEs that give opportunities to people to get employed collapse. 2, millions of poor South Africans would depend postally on the survival of this institution. It means they are left stranded with serious implications. A lot of opportunities that go hand in hand with the survival of this institution, in particular when you talk about SAPO of tomorrow. Because SAPO of tomorrow speaks about improving transport, fleet, logistics, and then turning around operations efficiencies. What does it mean? If you put digital hubs in far-flung areas, ordinary people suddenly have got access, SMMEs have got access to downloading information they would not have had. They get ideas there. They are able to email things. And in so doing, you give hope to those who are far-flung and implementing the concept that no one should be left behind.
How many branches, Minister, are loss-making of the branches that we have. How many SAPO branches do we have, and how many are loss-making?
In terms of the report, 1,023 branches is what we have on record, but only 894 are active. Remember, active does not mean you are profiting, but those are the active, 894. 129 totally not active. They have proposed a rationalization of those branches down to be about 600. We'll be looking at that, so that you've got viable branches. It's one thing to have every branch everywhere. It's another to have branches that are actually rendering the services as required.
Okay. There is a figure, Minister, I do not know if you are aware of it, a figure of 3.8 billion rand in terms of a bailout that is attributed to the communications department, which would be your office. Is this figure, are you aware of this figure that has been bandied about in the public space?
Sorry, your name is?
Duduzile.
Sorry, Dudu. It's not a secret figure. There's nothing secret about it.
Okay.
Remember, when SAPO was confronted with prospects of liquidation, a lot of options had to be explored. One of them was a business rescue. And for the business rescue to happen, a court had to grant that. And there were requirements for that to happen. One, how do you keep SAPO afloat during the rescue process? Two, how do you service creditors while SAPO is being rescued? Three, is there a proposed turnaround plan? You have to table those before the court. Cabinet had to consider that. One of the things that was written there as a need to actually intervene was a 3.8 billion. When Cabinet adopted a document that went to court, 3.8 billion is one of the things that was analyzed as going to be necessary to do that turnaround. So it's not a secret document. Okay. All what we need now is to go back to Cabinet and say, listen, as we presented before court, Cabinet agrees unanimously that you cannot allow SAPO to die. The issues of money are not issues that I can easily talk about here, because Treasury is a better place to speak about those. But 3.8 billion is not a secret stuff.
Okay, so this 3.8 billion rand, you cannot confirm for us at the moment because it still needs to go to Treasury for consideration in terms of turning things around at SAPO.
Where we are sitting, analysts, business rescuers have demonstrated that to invest, remember they spoke about 0.5 billion behind backlog on maintenance. They have explained how skewed our costs are against IT investment, against fleet, and so on. That money takes into account those issues. If you want to rescue SAPO, if that is the money required, that's the only way SAPO can go forward. So all what we need to do now is to say to Cabinet, we presented this before Cabinet, and Cabinet made an undertaking that whatever is required to take SAPO forward, it will be taken into account. So we will ask the Cabinet that indeed, whatever that was presented before the Cabinet, which was the basis of us going to court, that now has actually been realized, and then the Cabinet will advise.
Okay. Minister, the Sowetan, today's Sowetan dated the 12th of December. There's an article about how the Post Bank will no longer be paying social grants in cash to recipients. And they say that the Post Office, which is in business rescue to save it from bankruptcy, was paying the grants from about 900 branches, but these will be reduced to 600 from 2024. Is this something that you can confirm for us? And how will this process, as it plays itself out, then impact grant beneficiaries, if at all?
In terms of our analysis, we have discovered that there are cash payments points in South Africa which serves very few social grant beneficiaries, but which cost the cost at a cost which cannot be justified, because it means to go to, I'm careful about numbers now, to go to a cash payment on that services 30 people, you have to pay hundreds of thousands for, those companies, the fidelity, security companies, and all those kind of things. We've taken a decision that all those cash payment points, the cost we incur to service them is unjustifiable. Now, what is being done between now and next year, we are nudging and educating our people that Postbank has proven to be viable. We have stabilized it. It's possible to access their monies there or access them to the nearest shop, whether it's checkers or whatever. That method of what to call of service is actually unaffordable.
I beg your pardon. It's the process.
I'm saying the cash payment points. Remember, cash payment point means it's a place where the cash is not always there. It must be delivered. It must be ordered. You must provide security, and the numbers that are catered for that are very small, and the cost against which that has to happen has been proven to be unjustifiable. It's avoidable. So we believe that we are going to be able to nudge our people to actually use a cashless, what to call, method of accessing their money.
Minister, you mentioned at the beginning that the job or part of the job of the business rescue practitioners is to find out where things went wrong with the South African Post Office. What does that suggest? And maybe if you are aware, how much is the process of the business rescue practitioners costing you to find out what happened at this entity?
I was asking the cost.
I'm asking
of business rescue.
Let's start with the cost. Yes, please.
No, the cost, I cannot give you a figure offhand, but all I know, if you take into account what they have analyzed, what they have exposed, the plan they are proposing, I've no doubt we will sit down and do cost-benefit analysis. It was a worthy exercise, but I can't give you the figure now offhand.
Okay. Are we any closer, or is there light in finding out what happened?
The only way they could be able to propose the way forward is after analyzing what the problem was. I just gave you example one. The cost of the employment costs, the operation costs, all of them beyond a viable business can afford. And I've already said to you, the cost in terms of their profile are badly skewed skewed against investing in IT, investing in fleet, investing in operation, investing in maintenance. You need to reorganize that. So the business plan, because it analyzed and found those, understand exactly that we need to change the method and skew our cost in favor of investment that give us capacity to generate more revenue. That talks even to the type of skills we employ.
Speaking of skills, of the 6,000 employees that the Post Office has on its payroll, will some of them be absorbed? So should the business rescue practitioners find that you need to move to today's technology, as you noted, will they be trained to then still be within the employ of the Post Office?
That process is between business rescue and the employees. And we have expressed our view that we pray that as little as possible, workers should not be found in the street. There are other proposals, training them as drivers to service a number of independent work that they can actually do to service the post office. There's a program of that nature to check if that program can capture some of them. We really do not support people getting into the street, but at the end of the day, the biggest challenge we're faced with to do is when the post office is not functioning, it's millions of people who suffer. It's huge economic opportunities that are at risk. I'm saying to you no less than 300, I'm sure if I'm correct, up to 700 SMEs which depend on the survival. You know, every SME employs somebody. So there's a bigger picture and a bigger opportunity in a viable post office. So you weigh these issues. And we have no doubt a viable post office is going to employ even more than 11,000 workers going forward.
Thank you.
Because at that time, it will be making a lot of revenue. At that time, it will be on a sound financial basis.
Thank you so much, Minister of Communications Mondli Gungubele, for your time this afternoon.